Dear future president, I have written this letter about something that is really bothering me. The thing that is really bothering me is gun laws. There have been several events such as the Virginia Tech shooting, Sandy Hook shooting, and in more recent news, the Orlando pub shooting. If you, the new president, doesn't fix this issue soon, more and more people will die because of this. I also have questions as to why this problem hasn't been solved yet. I know that this is not an easy task to complete. I know that people are saying that you should only allow cops to use and carry guns. Well, some of these cops who have guns are also part of the problem because they are shooting and killing these young men. They are just as part of the problem as someone who decides to shoot up an elementary school because he or she hates his or her mother. But also, what about the people who need some sort of weapon to protect themselves, or they are too weak, ill, or stuck in a wheelchair to get up and defend themselves? How are they supposed to defend themselves if only cops are allowed to carry guns? Mr. President, what about your army or the military? They need guns and other things to help stop bad people such as terrorists from coming into America. How are they going to do their job if you take away their weapons and give them to police officers? On another note, like the senator of Connecticut said that if someone is on a terrorist watch list, that they shouldn't be allowed to carry or purchase weapons. What if they become a better person and get off the watch list, but has to wait for an updated version? How will you know then? I also would like to say that the current president, President Barack Obama, has his strategy of asking his for background checks probably will not work because what if the person hacks into the system and changes something very important and useful so that way his or her background check can be good and allow them to do and buy stuff versus not being able to. But even though that this is not the most common used resort, but there is still a 50-50 chance that this could still happen. One more question. What would happen if you tried to limit the amount of guns, magazines, and other items a person buys? Another major issue is terrorism. For me, I'm 13 years old and my parents' generation were terrified that an atomic bomb could drop any moment. Now my generation is terrified of terrorists. How can you tell if all Muslims are bad? We live in a time where terrorism, bombs, and guns are a bigger issue than it was back in the 1950s. After all that has happened in the world involving Muslims, for example, 9/11, we raise our children to believe that every Muslim you see wants to harm you and that he or she is a terrorist. That all ties together with gun laws because terrorists use guns too. But the question that burns inside me is what are you going to do if none of your ideas work? Why do you continue for all of these innocent people to die for what? I know that fighting this type of situation is hard, but all these years of guns being around and people dying because of guns, you would think that at least an idea that could actually work would have popped into somebody's head already.